Finally, after all these years of scientific research and technological babble, I've finally done it. I've recreated the forgotten platformer. That's right. Today, we'll be talking about Dr. Muto on the Gamecube! Ow!
Has anyone ever heard of Dr. Muto? I haven't. If you played this game during your childhood, let me know in the comments below. Dr. Muto is a platformer on the GameCube, where instead of playing a wacky animal or a marketable Italian plumber, you play as a crazy mad scientist, not something you would see as a typical mascot. He's a lot creepier, and does a lot more pelvic thrusting. The game was released in 2002 by Midway, and fell into obscurity ever since then. The only reason I know about it was because I was browsing through my local game store. I looked at the cover and I mean, just look at this thing. A mad scientist with a gloomy background, a bunch of colorful test tubes, a huge shock thing. It's eye-catching. What is this game? I have to know. Top that off to the fact that this game has pretty decent reviews. Why does no one talk about this? Looks like today, we're gonna find out. The game opens with our main character, Dr. Muto, mumbling in his sleep, dreaming about his past life and how mad of a scientist he was from birth. It's every mad scientist joke you can think of. However, for a platformer, unlike most main characters who are seen as a hero, or even somewhat likable in their community, this character is a misfit, and often causes more harm than good. Heck, he even causes fires and robotic takeovers. Kind of refreshing to see an unloved character in the platformer genre. We then cut to a news station sponsored by an eye drop commercial.
Wow.
Then we see, oh god, that newscaster looks like something in my nightmares. There is no soul behind those puppet eyes. The Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic reports the exposition that the mayor of Planet Midway, get it, it's the name of the company that made this game, is using Dr. Muto's device in order to restore energy to humanity. Energy that was taken by a company called Bernadal Industries. Sounds like a pharmaceutical company. And I'm sure there's nothing wrong with trusting a mad scientist. If there's any face you could trust, it's this guy. He's a doctor.
I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yep, everything's fine. I'm sure quoting Bubsy is a great sign of things to come. Alright, so how bad does it actually get? Planet go boom. Yeah, looks like the planet got destroyed. Well, that's the end of the game. Bye, everybody. Oh well, I guess it was just a dream. Guess it was this game's way of foreshadowing events to come. Or for foreshadowing the bankruptcy of Midway. Guess we gotta solve the energy crisis on planet Midway and then, oh wait, it wasn't a dream after all. And the mad doctor was the only one who survived. Why did he and his lab survive? Science! I'll be honest, for a GameCube game, these cutscenes look pretty good graphically, and they have a gloomy and edgy art style to the characters. Muto is exactly what I picture with a cartoony mad scientist, the henchman looks pretty interesting, although he's barely in the game to be honest, and this dark shadow of the villain is pretty cool. Although maybe spoilers, is this twist supposed to be that he's the evil twin of Dr. Muto? Kinda looks like him in the shadows. I didn't beat the game, so I'm not sure, just a guess. Also, I don't really care. Dr. Muto must venture forth to various planets in order to get the supplies he needs in order to create a device that will restore the planet. How a device that requires everything but the kitchen sink, literally the kitchen sink is required to build this thing? They made that joke actually. How can this hunk of junk build a planet? Science! You also must collect nucleons known as Terra in order to power the device. Not only that, but you also must collect isotopes in order to power your artificial intelligence, Al, and keep you and him alive. He's kinda like if they programmed the HAL 9000 to have the personality of Squidward tentacles.
This is the oddest factory I've ever had the pleasure of hacking into.
Please hit me as hard as you can.
Anywho, you have to collect all these science thingamajigs as if your life depended on it. I mean that literally, you immediately hit start and have to collect 15 Jimmy Neutron logos in a minute. Good luck!
Collect 15 isotopes, Doctor, or we'll all die.
Oh, sweet God, we're doing the science! Where am I going? I can't see where I'm going. Camera, work with me here. I need you to move. Camera, I need you to move! The camera is stuck on you during this section. You have no way of controlling it other than moving around and praying it follows you and you are at its mercy. I had so much trouble just moving around my house and going up the stairs. Plus, with how the room is lit, I can't really tell where I can walk and what is a railing because everything is so dark. I'm sure that won't be a problem for the rest of the game. Oh God, this is making me anxious. I don't know if I could do this. Even the timer is going crazy. There we go. But before we make our way to the first planet, we have to get one more science object. How are we going to get it?
Morph into a mouse and get the chip from behind the wall.
Ah yes, very logical. a mouse. You are able to transmorph into a bunch of different creatures throughout your adventure, including Muto Mouse. You are able to bite things, crawl through small spaces, and whip things with your tail.
Doctor, be careful of the broken glass. It will harm you.
Thanks, Mr. Sass, but I'm sure it won't be that bad. Okay, I won't touch the glass. Just don't make that sound again. Also, while the in-game model for Muto as a mouse isn't too great, it beats his in-game model as a human. And we are finally able to go to the first level.
And full power to the transloader. Now, yes.
Yep, you know what's coming. Say it with him now.
It's alive! Alive!
There it is.
Give my creation!
Finally, we make our way to the first level. The Toxic Waste Dump! A great first level choice, don't you think? If the game's camera didn't make me barf, this level is certainly going to do the trick. It's kind of obvious that this game was going for an edgy tone, and this first level definitely reflects that. But it just looks so bad. I know, a field of sludge is in the Garden of Flowers, but there is a way to make gross look somewhat pleasing to the eye, or at least tolerable to the retina. But it just looks boring and ugly and leaves a terrible impression. Let's look at another Toxic Waste Dump level, the one from Battle for Bikini Bottom. Granted, it's only a boss room, but it looks 10 times more appealing than the level design of Dr. Muto. They both have green sludge, they both have gray atmosphere, they both have moving conveyor belts, an interesting trend with dump levels I never understood. And Battle for Bikini Bottom wipes the floor with Muto. But why is that, you may ask? Maybe because you can actually see what the level looks like. Why is it so dark? There are points where I can't see where I'm going, or can't even tell if I'm jumping on a platform. Look at these conveyor belts, can you tell where they are? Cause it looks like a dark pit of despair to me. This, as you can imagine, combined with the wacky camera, which, while more controllable now that we are actually platforming, can often work against you at points. I swear, if it weren't for the fact that Muto could double jump, I would have died a lot more than I did. Oh yeah, let's talk about the Mad Doctor. Not that one. You control Muto by jumping, changing into animal variations, collecting DNA from enemies by stunning them with the B button, and zapping them. Muto has some unique quirks, to say the least, such as it takes him a good second or two to start walking. Like, I swear, I hit the analog stick, but the game takes him a few moments to start moving. But let me tell you, once he starts going, he's like a college senior running late to class for finals week. Also, he does a dance whenever he collects an important item. It reminds me so much of the dance Crash Bandicoot does. Only with more pelvic thrusting. While Muto does go against a lot of the platformer stereotypes, one annoying habit he has is that he will often talk to the gamer, stating things to help them out with the game or reacting to the level. Nothing too awful, except some of the stuff can get really annoying after a while.
Great. Ants. I hate ants.
I mean, I didn't like the DreamWorks movie either, but hey, A Bug's Life isn't much better.
Stronger from this magic red bubbly. My health is increased.
I don't want to know how bubbly you feel ever again, please. You have 3 hits before you get knocked out to the nearest checkpoint. You can get a 4th hit if you collect enough vials, but you need to collect 20 of them. You can lose them just as quickly too, and that is the only way you can recover in the game. On top of how dark it is and how it's easy to fall into sludge, these enemies are pretty tough. The cop enemies, called Servants of Burnatol, or SOBs. I see what you did there, game, haha, very edgy. And while most things take 1 hit to deal with, these RoboCops take 2. They also have a shield, which means you have to hit them, pray they don't hit you, and hit them again after a certain amount of time. You can stun them, but it just makes beating enemies a lot longer than it needs to be. It's just annoying to deal with. Plus, if more than one of these guys gangs up on you, you will lose health. These guys really earn their title of SOB. But the worst enemies are these robots, who you can't destroy with your weapon. You have to stun them and then aim them at the walls. Why can't you just hit them like every other enemy? Science! It's just unnecessary, especially since sometimes if you throw them toward the walls, sometimes they won't explode on impact and just come right back to you, most likely taking another heart from you. I hate these things! Not to mention, you can't stun them when you are an animal. How am I supposed to beat them? I hit the B button and all it does is... Oh, that's one way to do it. A mouse isn't the only animal you can change into. You can also change into an ape and oh... That's not Donkey Kong. Looks aside, this guy controls not too great too, especially with the pipes. There are so many times where I would just die because either he wouldn't latch onto the pipes when he should, or when I launched too far and would land in ooze. Where am I even going anyway? Everything looks the same. Just gray, green, and hard to see. I really can't distinguish where I'm going half the time, and it can often lead to my death. You fall into the ooze, you get beaten up by the enemies, you get hit by a mousetrap. It honestly makes me not want to play the game much. I think I see why this game was forgotten about. This is probably the reason why nobody has remembered Dr. Muto. It does have some good things going for it, the cutscenes are great and the presentation is strong, yet the gameplay ranges from forgettable at best to downright tedious and annoying at worst. It may have been groundbreaking back in the day, but it has not aged well. With the repetitive and borderline unseeable level design, the gross character models, the juvenile humor, and difficult gameplay, it is quite easy to see why this game is left in the dust in the platform genre. It's not terrible, but other than maybe some funny moments, it doesn't really stand out much either. I can easily see why this is a forgotten platformer.
How does lightning happen inside?
Random bystander here. Oh, say it again. Random